Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second virtual office hours for the Green Mountain College GIS class. I'm going to start in a couple minutes here, but if everyone could just tell me if they could hear me all right, that would be awesome. Just leave a message on the Hangout. Again, I'm going to start in a minute or two, so hold tight, please. All right, hello again, everyone, and again, welcome to the second virtual office hours for the GIS class. What I'm going to cover today, I'm just going to sort of walk through this week's assignments and try to give you a couple of tips and tricks for completing that. And then also talk about one of the assignments in the context of the final paper. So I'm going to jump right into it. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen, and let's take a look at the assignment first. Please bear with me. Sorry, slight technical difficulty here. All right. I don't know why I couldn't share my web browser for a second, but anyway, I got that worked out. So I'm actually going to talk about assignment number 5 first. You have assignment 4 and 5 due this week, but I'm going to talk about assignment 5 first. So this assignment, again, is pretty simple. We'd like you to make your first map with QGIS. And you can either do that with some sample data that's provided here on this website, or you could go out and find some data of your own that might be of more interest to you and create your own map. That might be a little more challenging, but at the same time, it might be a little more rewarding. So if you're going to choose option 1, there's a download link here. You simply click this. I've downloaded it into this directory of mine called data. Actually, I'm not sharing that, so you'll have to believe me. And you just need to download this onto your file system and unzip it. So I'm going to jump into the assignment, the QGIS assignment, using this data first, the Rutland sample data. But I'm also going to talk about going out and getting your own data. And I'm going to show you a couple things that might be of interest to you as well. and maybe that could help you along the way if you're using your own data. I'm going to check again and ask again. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, so you can hear me. Great, great. Again, at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to interject and ask them. So again, back on to assignment number 5. First, using the sample data that's provided. So first, actually, let me share my screen and let's take a look at the data on the file system. So here we go. Let's take a look. As you can see, I've downloaded my data into a folder on my file system called data. Right here is the Rutland data set, and these are some other data sets I downloaded, and I'll get into those in a minute. But let's take a look at the Rutland data set on the file system. And when you open up that folder, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that probably doesn't make a bunch of sense to you. I think I mentioned this last week, and I talked to a few people via email about this. One of the common data formats for a GIS is called a shapefile. And a shapefile has usually several constituent parts. So if you look at this first set of files in this folder, the E911 files, you got a DBF, PRJ, SBN, SBX, so on and so forth. These all comprise one GIS data set. So just keep this in the back of your mind. I think I mentioned it last time, but it's good to have hear this again and again so you remember it. A shapefile needs at least 3 constituent parts, and it often has more. But at a bare minimum, it needs the SHP file, the SHX file, and the DBF file. So on a really high level, and this is like way beyond the scope of anything you should really have to understand, the SHP file sort of stores the coordinates. The DBF file stores the attributes or information about the spatial features in the file. And actually, if we open it up, I'll open it up with Excel. Well, I guess it's not going to let me open it up. So while it's waiting to open up, this is basically an Excel file. You can think of it that way. It's not really an Excel file, but it's very similar. So sorry, I got something going on here in the background. And then the SHX file is an index between this file and that file. So anyway, again, that's way more than you really have to know or really should care about. Anyway, so I just wanted to get you guys familiar with what this stuff looks like on your file system. And really the best practice is don't mess with it on your file system. Try to manage everything through the GIS software you're using, whether it's QGIS or ArcGIS or whatever software you're using. So just let the tool do the managing of your spatial data. So I'm going to check again. Someone asked a question, how do I unzip? Generally, you unzip. Here, actually, I still have my file browser here. Let's see here. This is the US states file. Let me delete this. And I will show you how I do it. So I probably have a different system than you. I don't know if you're using Windows or a Mac. The system I'm using is a Linux system, so it might be a little bit different, but it's generally the same concept. So right-click your folder, and most likely your operating system will have some sort of built-in compression or extraction software or zip file software. And for me, I just click extract to here. So, and that just opens up the zip file. And that's what you need to do to get at this GIS data. And generally, and you'll see this as I go through the rest of the assignment, that most of the GIS files you download off like the internet, they'll be zipped up. So you're going to have to get familiar with unzipping and extracting files. Not a big deal. So again, just right click and I think Windows, it's unzip or extract. And then there's other third-party tools, like 7-zip is a really good one to unzip your files. So if you have any more questions about that or need any help, you can just contact me directly, and I will be happy to help you out. So you are using Windows, and I'm sorry, this isn't a Windows system. Next week, maybe I'll use a Windows system to do my demo, but it's definitely going to be a right-click and probably something like extract here. So I'll follow up with you, Suzanne, and give you a screenshot or something if you get figured out. Anyway, with that said, let's jump over to QGIS. I'm going to share my mapping software screen here. And where is it? Hold on. I got to make it active. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to be jumping into QGIS now. So, all right. So if you look up here on the screen, you will see QGIS, Quantum GIS, the software that you guys were responsible for downloading last week. If you haven't gotten a chance to play with it, you should now. Probably one of the most common interfaces you'll see or use in the software here is sort of your file explorer, and you could just think of this as your file explorer for GIS data. So this is my file system. I keep all my stuff in a folder called Work. I've got a Green Mountain folder, 2015, yada yada yada, down into the data folder that we just looked at in the file directory. So one thing I can't stress enough, and you'll discover this as you're working with GIS data, is it's very important for you to be organized. As you can see, like with the folder that I showed you in the file system, there's lots of files. This stuff can easily get mixed up and confused, and it can be a real mess. So again, if you only take away one thing from this course or today or anything, it's very important to be extremely organized when you're working with this data. So, so you say, so what? Okay, here is the Rutland data set that I've unzipped. I'm going to expand the folder, and I see a whole bunch of files here. So if you remember the E911, that was like 5, 6, 7 files on the file system. It's one file here in the QGIS view. So again, your file explorer for GIS. So for me, the easiest thing for me to do is you can just simply double click on that file, and it comes right into your screen. So all I had to do is double click, and now the E911 data is on my map canvas. You can also drag it over. That's another way you can get the data. I think you can even, and I wouldn't recommend this, you can drag data over from your file system onto the map canvas, and that works. And then also there's a tool menus. I don't know if you can see my toolbar up here, but on the top there is a layer menu option, add layer, and add vector layer. And when I click that, I got a dialog box, and I'm sorry I can't share that with you. Let me see if I can share my whole screen. And give me 2 seconds here. Entire screen. Oh, no. So that doesn't work. So I apologize for that. But you'll have to believe me when I say, when you go up to the layer menu, select add layer and add vector layer, you'll get a dialog box where you can browse to a data set, and I'm doing that right now. It's taking me a second to find it. So I'm going to add the town shapefile. So I added that through the layer dialog, and then you can also click this button here on the toolbar to add a vector layer. And also, the assignment also talks about adding a raster layer, which you should know from your reading the difference between a raster and a vector data sets, but just really on a high level, you can think of a raster layer as like an image, like a JPEG or something you take with a camera, and then they spatially reference it, and you can bring that into a GIS. And a vector layer is either a point, line, or polygon data set that is representation of something in the real world. So I'm just going to click on this topo layer, which is another, which is a raster layer, and I brought that into my GIS, and might as well bring in the utility lines. So I brought in all the different layers into this GIS. Sorry, I was just checking the questions. No new questions here at this point. And so, all right, mission accomplished. I could do this and fulfill the assignment and hand it in, and you would do perfectly fine. However, you might look at this and you might be a little bit confounded because, you know, there's different layers here that are covering other stuff. So, and this might not be the best mapping experience, but I'm going to take a second here and go through this and show you, you know, what you can do to make this a much nicer map. So I don't know, too, if you've had a chance to tour any of the toolbars here. You know, there's the pan tool, the zoom tool, which allows you zoom in and out of the map. Let's see here, I'll talk about this in a few, like the select tool. But for the most part, right now, I'd be concerned with just zoom in, zoom out, and pan. So in an attempt to make a much nicer map, you can take a look down here in the layers, the table of contents on the bottom left. And one kind of cool thing you can do here is you can toggle the visibility of the different layers. You turn them on and off if you want to see them. You can also do things like shift around the order of them. So you might look at this and your polygon is covering your line. So you might want to drag your line up and it'll bring it on top of your polygon, or your point on top of your lines. And just as a general rule of thumb, that's a great way to display things. It's sort of, you know, polygons, lines, and points. With the polygons sort of as your base layer, your lines, and then your points. And I'm going to drag down my topo layer to the bottom and the utility layer down to here. And you still might not think this is a very attractive map, so let's tour some of the other functionality. And I encourage you guys to do this. But again, if you got this far, handed this in, that would be perfectly fine. Let's click on this. And when you click on this, and I apologize that you can't see this with the screen share, you get the layer properties dialog. And in the layer properties dialog, there is a tab called style. And yeah, you can't see that on my screen. So in the style tab, I can change the symbol of a marker. I could change the color. So for example, I'm going to change the color to blue and apply that. I can change the size. I might think it looks too big, and that might look a little bit better. And the same goes for lines. And when you open up the style dialog for lines, there's a whole bunch of different palettes or lines you could use and choose from, and you can customize those as you see fit. I don't see my utility line, so okay, well that's good. Let me change my road file. I'll get back to the utility lines if I have time. I'm going to choose this nice sort of gray. Well, it's not that great. Maybe I'll bump the width down a little bit, and that might look a little bit better. And you can also do things too, and this is a very common sort of thing, like for a polygon, you often see where they have, and it'd be really great if you could see the style dialog. Maybe I could share this. Let's see here. Nope, I don't have the option to share the dialog, but that's okay. So you can make your fill transparent, and let me do that. So now, oops, hold on a second. Bear with me. I chose transparent fill here, clicked OK, and I'm going to change the border color, something that stands out more, to a red. And I'm going to make the border a little thicker so it stands out. So that's like a common thing you see. It is sort of like a transparent fill with a border. And then if I turned on my topo layer now, I could sort of overlay my topo. I could use that as a base map, and I could get a great context with that as a base map, and then I could see my boundary. I'm going to zoom out, and I'll show you one more sort of technique that is kind of cool. Let me turn off this. There's my utility lines. I'm going to turn off my dots, and I'm going to get back into my dialog for my polygon layer. I'm going to put a fill back on it. Bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, oops, didn't save, all right. Okay, I'm going to give it a red fill, a black border, and I'm going to add some transparency to it. So you see this a lot, especially with like tax parcels and stuff. So you can still get the effect of having a polygon layer, but you have a slight transparency that allows you to see the layer that's underneath, which is kind of a nice effect. So let me take that. I think that's about it. Sort of a quick tour of the sample data that came with the class, and if you use that for your assignment, that would be totally acceptable. But I'm going to go into a little more detail and talk about some other data sources and some other kind of cool things you can do real quickly. So give me a second. I'm going to check and see if there's any questions. I'm going to create a new map. And again, sort of, I don't know if you've seen that, but a shortcut to do that is you just click this new button up here on the left. I'm going to close without saving. And that gives me a new blank map canvas. So I'm going to check on the questions real quick. And looks like there's no new questions. So I'm going to keep forging ahead with some different things here. So a couple of things. I mentioned a little bit last week, and I'm going to talk about it again, using some external data sources. And I'm going to switch over to my web browser and talk about that for a second. All right. So I mentioned that often that a state or local government hosts GIS data, and they're often stewards for GIS data for a state or a region. So I'm going to just Google here New York State GIS Clearinghouse because I'm from New York, and I have that perspective, and I know where to get GIS data there. And I'm sure almost every state has one, and with a quick internet search, I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of GIS data. So I'm just going to visit the site, and again, you can browse by county here. And I think I browsed into Albany County, search for data sets in Albany County, and I was able to find this data set, some polygon wetlands for Albany County. So I just clicked this link, downloaded them. They're on my file system, and I'll just show you quickly adding them to a map. Well, actually, yeah, I'll do that. Again, pretty simple here. Just navigate to the directory where you downloaded and unzipped your data, and voila, now I have the wetlands on my map canvas. But I'm actually going to start a new map canvas, close this without saving, and show you something you might want to do. I sort of hinted at this last week, and someone subsequently asked me about this. You can install what is called the Open Layers plugin in QGIS, which allows you to add things like Google Maps, OpenStreetMaps, Bing Maps, Apple Maps. And I'm going to add quickly a Google physical map. Oh, I got an error. Let's try to add a different map here. So, well, I apologize for that. I'm getting an error. Let me try a different map service here. Okay, it looks like I have to update my plugin, but that's okay. That just goes to show you this is a real live demo, you know, and things like this happen all the time, but I'm not going to waste the time right now to fix it. And I am going to go over this plugin later, and that is something we talk about in more detail later, so don't worry about it. But what I will talk about and this is relevant to the New York State data that I downloaded. Often states have what are called web mapping services that you can connect to, and they sort of host map data on the internet that you can connect to with your map client, like QGIS. So New York State has what's called an ortho imagery service, which is a map service that has all the aerial photography for New York State. So to access this in QGIS, you need to get the URL for your map service. you need to go over to QGIS. You need to open or add a WMS layer, and you can see I'm mousing over here on the left toolbar. You can't see my mouse tip. You can either do that or up in the tools or layers section. You click on that, you'll get a dialog. It'll ask you to add a new or connect to an existing WMS server. You click add, and you can see on my screen now I have in my GIS ortho imagery or aerial photography for the entire state of New York, which I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to zoom in, and pretty cool, huh? That is like literally available to you in a few mouse clicks. Back in the old days, you used to have to download all this stuff, tile it all together, and it was a real sort of pain. I'm going to show you another trick here, and you can't really see it, but if you right-click on any layer here in your layers table of contents, you can select Zoom to Layer, and that will bring you out to the full extent of that layer. So I'm going to sort of dovetail this with the other data that I showed you that I downloaded before, the Mohawk Valley wetlands, and I double-clicked it, and you can see I added it over here in the map canvas. Let's zoom in, take a look, and I might want to change the symbology of that to something like water. Click apply, and now that's like a real quick and easy map and that you have here that has wetlands, aerial imagery. I might want to change the transparency on this guy, kick up the border a little bit. Okay, do something like that, and you have a pretty cool looking map. So again, I apologize for not having the Open Layers plugin set on this PC, but something was wrong with it. But I did get to show you this Add WMS layer, which you should be able to go out there and find tons of. And actually, if you click on this Add WMS, W2MS layer, there is an option in the dialog to add default servers, and you get a few servers. Let's see here. In your list, mine are Lizard Tech, who are an aerial imagery provider, and DM Solutions. I don't know what that is, but they probably have some data that you can take a look at. And also, too, if you do an internet search, there's tons of stuff out there that you can connect to and use. So with that said, I think I've given you enough. And armed with that, you should be able to make an amazing map that will exceed the expectations of the assignment. And if you have any problems at all with the cartography or making maps, drop me a line. And again, this doesn't, at this point, have to be a really high quality, cartographic, highly standards map. Just want to get you guys familiar using the software, and really anything will do. So I'm going to check and see if there's any questions. I think I found one and answered my question. Okay, what would you recommend we use to import data and aerials? So I think I found one, and Chris is asking about this data. Yeah, this looks like, yeah, you are able to browse and download, and let's see here, I'll type in WMS and see if they have any WMS. Yeah, there's Missouri School Districts WMS. So yeah, Chris, that site that you referenced there looks pretty awesome, and you should be able to get a ton of GIS data from that thing. So with that said, I'm going to stop talking about QGIS and just talk a couple minutes about the assignment. And let me get the assignment up here. Here it is. Okay, so the assignment number 4, again, not huge, but it is key and critical. You should identify 2 major issues or questions that might be of concern within your region, your bioregion, or your study area that you could believe you could use GIS to address or better inform the decision-making process. For example, a lot of people I've talked to and I've seen from the bios and people I've had conversations with this class, a big thing is curbing development within their study region, or and specifically with environmental sensitive area. So that's a perfect candidate to use GIS in. So that would be a good example. And again, you need to think about this assignment in the context of your final assignment, because if you do a good job on this now and you think this through, it will make your job at the end of the term much, much easier completing your final project. Because again, each one of these pieces is a key component of the final project. So if you take a look at the rubric of the final paper that I published, or I wrote in the virtual cafe this week, this, right here is just a key piece of it. So think of it that way. Think of doing this assignment in the context of your final paper. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about right now. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes and I'll be available to answer questions. And I'll be online tomorrow all day too, and probably later this evening. So with that said, thank you for participating in the virtual office hours, and I look forward to seeing your submissions. All right, thanks again, and that's it.